to be number one. Little did I know that I would,
hit with her, and I was hitting the ball pretty well, but I still didn't think about,
Eala has is obviously that much higher, and I'm going to bring in a little boxing.
When Martina Navratilova speaks about technique, the entire tennis world listens, not out of courtesy, but out of genuine respect for someone who dissected opponents like a surgeon for over 2 decades on the professional circuit. Her observations about any active player carry a different weight than those of most analysts, because she spent her career at the intersection of technical excellence and competitive ruthlessness. So when Navratilova recently goes off on the WTA and publicly praises Alex Eala's technical execution as among the most exceptional currently visible within the women's tour, the assessment doesn't just raise eyebrows. It rewrites the narrative around a 19-year-old who most casual fans still associate with junior titles rather than senior dominance. As of March 2026, Eala has recorded victories against multiple Grand Slam champions, demonstrating that her technical foundation produces results against elite-level opposition. Navratilova noted that Eala's shot accuracy reminds her of Nadal's legendary precision, a comparison reserved specifically for players with exceptional technical discipline. That's not a casual comment from a retired legend filling airtime. That's a verdict from someone who held a racket professionally longer than Eala has been alive. Yet buried within Navratilova's praise sits a specific critique, one targeted area of weakness that she insists must evolve before Eala can truly own this tour. Subscribe before moving forward, because the full breakdown ahead is worth having in your feed permanently. What Navratilova identifies next is something you genuinely won't see coming. When Navratilova evaluated Alex Eala's game for the WTA, she didn't approach it like a casual commentator offering surface-level observations. The legendary champion dissected Eala's mechanics with the precision of someone who spent decades studying how the human body converts intention into winning shots on professional courts. She wasn't handing out participation trophies, she was conducting a genuine technical audit. Navratilova's verdict cut straight through the noise surrounding Eala's recent victories. She described the Filipino teenager as crafty, a word that carries significant weight in professional tennis terminology. Crafty doesn't mean lucky. It doesn't suggest a player who benefits from opponent mistakes. Crafty indicates a player who understands court angles, reads positioning in real time, and executes shots with deliberate precision rather than relying on raw power to manufacture results. The Nadal comparison elevated the conversation even further. Navratilova noted that Eala's shot execution reminds her of Rafael Nadal's technical approach, not in terms of power generation, but in terms of shot consistency and the ability to place the ball exactly where she intends it to land. For a 19-year-old competing against women who have spent 15 years developing their professional games, this is a remarkable technical foundation to already possess at this stage of a career. The significance of this assessment extends well beyond casual praise. Navratilova doesn't invoke Nadal's name in technical discussions without substantial justification behind the comparison. Her commentary carries credibility because she spent her own career dismantling opponents through technical mastery rather than depending on any single weapon. When she identifies technical excellence in another player, the observation comes from someone who genuinely understands what separates adequate technique from truly exceptional technique at the professional level. Alex Eala's technical profile contains several distinctive elements that separate her from other emerging WTA talents. Her left-handed game provides natural variety, a factor Navratilova specifically highlighted when assessing what makes Eala genuinely difficult to prepare against. Left-handed players create different angles and spin patterns that right-handed opponents must constantly recalibrate to during match play, and this advantage compounds significantly over the course of a full 3-set match when fatigue begins affecting decision-making. Beyond the left-handed advantage, Eala demonstrates exceptional consistency in her ground stroke execution. Her forehand and backhand both carry clean contact points, meaning she strikes the ball at the optimal moment in her swing path rather than catching it early or late. This consistency translates directly into predictable ball trajectory and reduced unforced errors, precisely the foundation that builds winning records against quality opposition across a full tournament week. Her slice backhand deserves specific mention within this technical conversation. Navratilova herself is legendary for her slice backhand, having deployed it as a primary tactical weapon throughout her career at the highest level. When Navratilova evaluates another player's slice, she measures it against the highest possible standard. Eala's slice demonstrates genuine depth control and spin variation that forces opponents into uncomfortable defensive positions, limiting their ability to attack effectively on the following shot. The technical discipline visible throughout Eala's game reflects her years of training at the Rafa Nadal Academy. The Academy's philosophy emphasizes precision, movement efficiency, and shot selection based on court positioning rather than simply generating more pace on the ball. Eala absorbed these principles during her academy years, and they now manifest directly in how she constructs points during match play. She doesn't rely on one devastating shot to end rallies. She builds points methodically, using variety and placement to create openings where her opponents are left with limited effective options remaining. Here is where Navratilova's assessment becomes genuinely interesting and where the praise finds its necessary balance. While she commended Eala's technical execution across most areas of her game, she identified the serve as the specific department requiring substantial development. This distinction matters because it prevents her overall comments from reading as pure celebration without substance. Navratilova wasn't presenting Eala as a finished product, ready to immediately dominate the WTA. She was identifying a 19-year-old with an exceptional technical foundation who still needs to develop one critical weapon before consistently challenging the tour's elite on a regular basis. Navratilova stated directly, "I think where she can improve the most is her serve, or make it pay off more. She needs a bigger serve and bigger kick." The current serve, while reliable enough to initiate rallies without gifting opponents easy points, doesn't generate the pace or movement patterns necessary to dominate points against the highest-ranked WTA competitors. In modern women's tennis, the serve functions as a primary offensive weapon, the shot that allows players to dictate entire rallies from the very opening stroke. Eala's serve currently operates as a dependable starting point rather than a weapon that creates immediate pressure on the returner. The distinction Navratilova drew was surgical in its clarity. She didn't suggest Eala's serve is technically broken or fundamentally flawed, only that it doesn't match the exceptional quality she demonstrates everywhere else on the court. This gap between her groundstroke precision and her serve power creates a recognizable imbalance that experienced opponents identify and exploit. Players facing Eala understand they can afford to be relatively aggressive on return of serve because the incoming delivery doesn't generate the same pressure that top-ranked servers produce on a consistent basis throughout a match. Navratilova's recommendation involved both physical and mechanical adjustments working together rather than independently. Added physical strength would generate greater racket head speed through the service motion, producing more pace without forcing mechanical changes. Beyond strength, smoother rhythm and a more relaxed arm motion through contact would naturally produce greater velocity as a byproduct of better mechanics. The serve improvement Navratilova outlined isn't about rebuilding Eala's game from scratch, it's about optimizing what she already understands technically so that her serve matches the level of everything else. Navratilova's praise carries implications that extend beyond individual player evaluation. It positions Eala within a specific conversation about how the modern women's tour values different skill sets against each other. The WTA currently features power-dominant competitors like Aryna Sabalenka, multi-dimensional competitors like Iga Swiatek, and aggressive baseline competitors throughout the rankings. Each of these players built their game around a primary strength that defines how they compete week to week. Eala's technical approach differs fundamentally from these dominant models. Her game emphasizes precision, variety, and tactical shot construction, elements that Navratilova's own career demonstrated could sustain elite success across decades of professional competition. The fact that an 18-time Grand Slam champion recognizes and publicly articulates this approach in a 19-year-old teenager signals something the tennis world should pay close attention to. Her victories against Grand Slam champions didn't result from overpowering opponents or outlasting them through superior fitness. They resulted from superior shot placement, tactical variety, and the ability to construct points that left opponents with limited effective options at critical moments, validating that Navratilova's technical assessment isn't theoretical commentary, but observation grounded in actual competitive results. Navratilova's assessment functions simultaneously as a roadmap for Eala's continued development. The technical foundation across her ground strokes and court construction is already at an exceptional level. That aspect of her game is essentially settled at a quality the greatest players recognize. The remaining question is whether Eala can develop the serve power necessary to compete consistently against the tour's best competitors every single week across a full season. At 19 years old, Eala still has meaningful physical development ahead of her. Professional players regularly gain strength and power during their early 20s as their bodies continue maturing naturally. This biological advantage gives Eala a genuine and realistic window to address the serve weakness Navratilova identified without disrupting the technical game that's already producing significant results against elite opposition. Navratilova's praise now attaches a specific expectation to Eala's name that wasn't there before. The tennis world watches to see whether she can build on this technical foundation to achieve the ranking progression and tournament victories that would fully validate the assessment. The next 18 months represent a critical development window, one that will determine whether Navratilova's technical praise translates into sustained performance at the very top of the WTA. Martina Navratilova, going off on the WTA and praising Alex Eala's technical execution as exceptional, represents far more than routine commentary from a retired champion seeking relevance. It's a technical verdict from someone whose understanding of professional tennis mechanics remains among the most credible voices in modern analysis. The assessment acknowledges Eala's remarkable foundation across her ground strokes and court construction, while simultaneously identifying the specific department, serve development, where meaningful improvement must happen before she can fully realize the potential Navratilova has publicly identified. The next phase of Eala's career will determine whether this technical excellence translates into the ranking progression and tournament victories that define elite WTA players. The foundation is exceptional, the roadmap is clearly identified. Whether Eala can build sustained competitive success on this technical platform remains the central question facing her development as a professional competitor in the critical years immediately ahead. This is precisely the kind of deep technical breakdown that separates serious tennis analysis from surface-level highlight coverage. If you want to stay ahead of the conversation surrounding emerging WTA talent and genuinely understand the technical elements that determine professional match outcomes, subscribe to this channel right now. Every major development, every significant assessment, and every angle the mainstream tennis media glosses over gets covered here in full detail. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join a community of tennis fans who care about understanding this game at a level beyond the scoreline. The next major breakdown drops soon, and you won't want to miss it.